Let's open it up for questions for just a little bit before we get rolling.
Greg, this is Susan. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
Hi, love.
Hey, how are you?
So good. Happy to be here. The class, The Sacred Fire, I looked at it online and it sounds fascinating, but there's no real description about it. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It will be a practice of working with brain waves to condition the body, and then it will be tied to a Kundalini practice.
Well, I think that sounds like a sort of great class.
Yeah, the idea, the idea with circulating Kundalini, it's one of the things is to upgrade the nervous system so that you can have more subtle information register. So more information from the higher soul, or for clairvoyance, or for any of the practices, it refines the nervous system. And so we want to take it a step further of not just doing like we do pretty involved purifications, be it psychological or through the different parts of the nervous system. But here we're actually going to strengthen and help regulate different brain waves to really try to take the nervous system to the next level. So it should also help with sleep issues, and it should also help with anything that's a brain fatigue related condition. And so, we were kind of holding back with, excuse me, the explanation, because I wasn't sure how much information that I was going to put forth. And we just kind of decided over the weekend, we're just going to let it rip and, just put it out there. And if we need to temper it in the middle of the class, we will, but I'm just going to put it all out there. And so the brainwave work is really very strong work. We're also a little bit later in the year, like probably in March, we're going to do a advanced sleep class. And it's not going to be sleep and memory, it's just going to be on sleep. And we're also going to be utilizing the brainwaves for that. For example, chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, part of the issue is it is a brain fatigue syndrome, but the brain waves are a little bit off, especially the alpha and the delta waves. And so, one of the ways that we approach the pain mechanisms was to look at like the spasms and the effect on the endocrine system and the respiratory system, look at things that are more than just the pain. We're trying to do that with a lot of the conditions that, we see as like everyday conditions are very common conditions, but also sleep, and look at what issues that are being impacted by brain function that develops into sleep disorders. And so I've been kind of going through all the different kinds of sleep disorders. Been going through a lot of the sleep disorders and looking at clinical data to see, how we can go through and try approaching this in different ways. So the Sacred Fire class will be kind of establishing a baseline for some of the work that will be brainwave activity that we're going to probably put in like 3 or 4 different classes, but this is kind of like the general way to use it. This is like going to be the spiritual application, but we're going to look at integration of other processes in treatment, even if we're just looking at sinus issues and things like that. We want to look at, the neurological impact, not just the immune system and respiratory function. And so I'm going to be compiling a lot more specific information for different conditions. Kind of like we did with the fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome a booklet. We're going to have a series of like little booklets so that when you go through and start treating somebody, information from all the different classes is compiled into that one class for that application. So you could treat it with just, one of the steps, or you could take it and be like super involved. So as practitioners, it's going to help people treat something in depth. And if you have the issue, or if you want to give the booklet to one of the patients, that you could do that, so they could also do self-treatment. So when I'm doing that, we are looking at brainwave function, and we are looking at other things other than essential oils that you can do, like other healing modalities, or herbal or vitamins, amino acid, whatever it is. We're trying to look at as many different factors as possible and compile it into like a little booklet that you guys can utilize to either treat yourself or treat your patients or family members. And so it's a little bit more tedious work, because I have to go through like just years and years of notes, and some of my notes were before the digital thing. So I have to go through and actually look through, old handwritten notes and things. And I can't always read my writing. So I kind of know what it's talking about sometimes, but the Sacred Fire is kind of like the first class in a next level or wave of things that we're going to be doing, that's building on everything that we've already been doing, but trying to take things to another level.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm sending my check today. The check is in the mail. Thank you so much.
I was trying to like tap into it a little bit with in the original sleep and memory class, but it was just I still needed to lay more foundation before we started doing some of this work. And so I started just to put like a little tiny bit of brainwave information in there, but I decided to hold back. It was just enough to make it confusing and not enough to make it self-explanatory. You know what I mean? Like, so I took it out, but we have a whole nother level for the sleep, and a whole nother level for memory function and brain fatigue and things like that. And so, and it all ties into esoteric practices as well. And so, yeah, it should be an interesting year. It's really, even the pain syndromes, we're going to have some of the brain fatigue and different waves, different brain waves in it. But it's just, we have to just give, certain dosages of information at a time so it can be processed. And so even when I'm talking to the very first class I talked to about pain in the early days was a group of nurse practitioners. And even for that group, I didn't set enough of the base information for the more advanced components of the pain class to really even be utilized. And so it was going to make them have to study a whole bunch. And so, it just, sometimes when I call it being in the monkey cage too long. It's like sometimes when you're doing something for so long, you forget that you've gone down this weird rabbit hole, and you just think everybody thinks that same way. And so it's like, when you walk into the monkey cage at first, it kind of stinks, and after a while you get kind of used to the smell, but you kind of smell it, and after a couple of hours you don't smell that smell anymore. So I always tell myself I've been in the monkey cage too long, because when I presented it to them, on a couple of breaks, some of the nurse practitioners came up and said, "This is just too much information. You can't do it. We can't." And so if a professional at that level is having a hard time it needs to be broken up into pieces. I was trying to do too much at once. I mean, bottom line. And so it took me a long time to be able to get to that conclusion. So I shouldn't expect other people to get to that conclusion as well. Like, it's outside the box of a lot of normal thinking about these things. And so also having to lay the foundation for people to be able to step away from the things that they already know and do something a bit different. And that's really probably the big thing. And even for me, like when I was presenting that information, I did the same thing. I didn't step outside my box. I didn't take my own advice. And so it's a very exciting thing, and it's one that we're going to try to actually even augment it with feedback from you guys and research. We're looking at devices right now that we can use to monitor brainwave activity and things like that. And so when we really start getting into it on a deeper level, we're going to really try to fine tune the information and have clinical data to back it up. And so, getting back to the old days of the research and development, when it came to this, was like, it wasn't just that we would look at it and see the anecdotal information that would come from a clinical application, and then you would see a group of people where there would be change. But a lot of times we had, physical therapists doing ranges of motion, and we would do blood work, and we would do x-rays and MRIs, and, we would do a lot of different things. And it would help us fine tune, and it would also validate what we were doing. And it's been a while since I was able to do that approach, but we're going to try to get back to doing some sort of version of that. And I want to involve the students in doing it as well. So I kind of am hoping that some of the students are wanting to be involved in some of these processes as we go through and doing the R&D.
How exciting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just want you to know that my turquoise and coral necklace is shipped and on its way.
Oh, good. Good.
And apparently you're looking for, you have a video of me with Imaho. I am so excited about that. And of course you have my permission.
Okay, yeah, I didn't realize, we had some of some videos that different students had given us. I was there that whole weekend in Houston last year, and I did not even video one single thing. Like, I was just always thinking about things. Yeah, I was engrossed. And
Well, absolutely, you have my permission, and hopefully there's some little blue lights flashing
There
around.
are. That's why I wanted to show it.
Yeah, apparently there is. Yeah.
Oh, how exciting. You'll have to let me know when you post it so I can see it too.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Okay.
So
thank you for that honor. Thank you for the honor.
Oh, my pleasure. We're going to try to involve Imaho in some of the things that we do in this part of the year. So.
Well, I know Sabine emailed me or texted me and said we're off on an exciting trip to go see Imaho. So we're in.
Yeah. I just talked to him a few hours ago, in fact. He loved talking with the students over the weekend. He's been just sitting at home, because of the quarantines and everything. He hasn't been able to do anything for the last year. And so it was nice for him to be able to get out and interact with people like that again. He's used to doing it so much that I'm sure that he has to be missing it.
Mm-hmm. He has so much to give.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's an amazing guy.
I will mute myself. Thank you for that beautiful explanation, and sign me up. I'm taking your class, and I'll be a guinea pig for whatever good I am. I'm signing up.
Good.
Greg, this is Barbara. I have a question about time.
Hey, Barbara.
I remember you saying to be careful with it with autoimmune disorders. but there's some times that are okay? Is that?
Yeah,
is that-
yeah. The one when you said time, I was thinking like time, like time, not time. Yeah, the one time for autoimmune issues that's actually quite beneficial. In fact, you use it to help regulate the thymus. Is Moroccan time.
Thank you.
Moroccan time is like always safe. Moroccan time's really, it's a very interesting form of time. It helps to regulate the thymus, and you know sometimes we have these like low grade infections in the body that sometimes they're so low grade that even when like blood work is done or something, they won't really show up, but the person keeps showing symptoms of like low grade infections. I treated a couple people who had some really low grade kidney infections, and we used Moroccan thyme and myrrh together, and I just would have them ingested every day. And I mean, within a week or two, and these people had had these infections for years. You know, they were just low-grade bacterial infections. And so Moroccan thyme is good for people who are prone to chronic infections too. You know, just like really long-standing, having a hard time for things to go away. You know, because it does regulate the thymus. And so if you're not sure if the person has an autoimmune issue, I usually go right to the Moroccan thyme.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a softer thyme as well. You know, red thyme and white thyme, they're a bit stronger, and we're looking at trying to bring in. There's other types of thyme as well. You know, and thyme is such a good immune system boost that really with all the viral issues that have been happening over the year, you know, people are getting, even if it's not COVID, the people that are getting sick, they're not bouncing back quite like normal. And it's really a very odd situation. You know, I've never seen anything quite like this. You know, there's the COVID issues, but even things that are not COVID, people are having these things linger for really long periods of time. And I think, you know, we were talking amongst ourselves here at the office, and we were just starting to say, like, you know, we were really looking at trying to push more of the immune oriented, you know, oils and information and education. But I think we're going to even try to double down on that. And I think immune issues are going to be a little bit of a thing for a while. I couldn't even tell you why, but you know, I'm starting to see people who are having just like long-standing bladder infections and just long-standing, just weird infections that are not normal. And so, you know, you see them from time to time, but you know, I'm not even doing therapy like I used to, and I'm seeing a substantial amount of them. You know, people just asking for advice and things. And so, yeah, I think we're going to have to focus on the immune system even to a higher degree. You know, so we were looking at doing some more work in the study groups for the educating on the immune system. You know, so I'm generating some notes for us to eventually start working with, and maybe even starting to looking at more conditions that we can talk about specifically in the immune arena.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Greg, Sabine here. Further along those lines of autoimmune diseases, this weekend you talked a little bit about rheumatoid arthritis. Would you say that the Moroccan thyme is also indicated?
Yeah, Moroccan thyme is really good for that. And then that blend, the joint relief, is really good for keeping the hands like flexible and the circulation good in the joints. It slows down the breaking down of the joints. And so you could make that into an ointment, or you could make that into an alcohol-based spray or a liniment, and then rub it on the hands. You know, that way it dries up really fast. Either way works really good. But like, you know, I've had patients where they could barely move their hands, and then you spray it on and they can open and close their hands to a much greater degree. And they would say the pain went down substantially. And so, I mean, I think it's good to treat it as an immune issue, but also go to the site and make sure that they're getting the range of motion and keeping function, because having some movement is going to keep blood moving and the joints moving. And so if you're a little bit predisposed to that, you could start putting that on to try to offset it. The only variation is that like it's not so much like rheumatoid. It can happen with rheumatoid, but it will happen sometimes with people. They'll just have arthritis in their hands, but it's not rheumatoid arthritis. Is in the thumb joint, like here in the thumb joint. Sometimes that joint will wear down, and the cartilage will wear down, and they'll start to have deposits. And so the only variation is with either the rheumatoid, or if they just have arthritis in the thumb, is you can use the ArthraCare. And the reason for the ArthraCare is it helps to break down the deposits, like the pre-deposits, and helps to reduce the inflammation. And if there is deposits, sometimes what's causing the pain is the tissue gets stuck on the deposits themselves. And it's like, they're like little sharp objects that are poking into the tissue. And so by reducing the inflammation and kind of releasing that tissue, you know, it's not like you're getting rid of the deposits, but it's allowing for a freer range of motion and significantly less pain. And so you'll see them mostly in the thumbs and the spine and in the heels. Like, you know, when people get heel spurs, that is calcium deposits that's just on the bottom of the heel of your foot. And so you'll get sharp stabbing pains in that area. And again, ArthraCare was made for any time that there's deposits. So if you're not sure, I would start with the joint relief. Even if you just have some rosemary and like juniper and some pine or cedar, like you combine all of them, that will start to bring relief to the hands almost immediately. You know, in any form of arthritis. But you can do that on the spine as well. But a lot of times the spine has deposits, and then, you know, the thinning of the discs.
So this would also cut down on the inflammation then, I guess.
Yes, it helps move blood into the area, which is going to hydrate the cartilage. So it slows down the degeneration of the cartilage. And then it helps blood move out, which is helping to stimulate lymphatic function and reduce inflammation and disperse some of the fluid that lingers in and around that joint capsule. And so if you use it over a period of time, you'll notice that at first you're using it every day, and after a while you'll forget to use it. It's because your hands start feeling so good that, you know, pain is usually the motivator, and when you start feeling good, you know, you'll forget to do it. And, you know, that's okay, but it's better
Use the
when it's
decimal
done.
numbers.
What's that?
One.
So it's better to do it like on a consistent basis. Yeah,
Okay.
consistent basis.
Yeah. And I guess you spray it on then.
You can make it into a spray with a liniment, or you can make it in like with a massage oil, or, you know, the Tamanu blend oil. You can mix it in with that, because that is a lymphatic stimulant as well. Anything like that will bring relief.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And you guys, when you're treating these different conditions, if you have questions, you know, you can shoot us an email at the Plant Piranha calendar or on plant product Q&A, and I don't, I'm not able to check it every day, but usually at least once or twice a week, I sit down with somebody and we just fire through a bunch of emails at once. So, if you're having questions or you're having difficulties or you're having, something you want to work through, feel free to shoot us a question and everything. I want you guys to be able to treat, either the patient you're treating or to self-treat something, feel free to ask questions.
Letty, your hand is raised.
Hey, Letty.
Yes, hi. Hi guys. Okay, I have a quick question. For smell and taste, I was telling you last time my friend is not able to still has not gotten her smell or taste back. Are there any essential oils that would help get it back?
Basil. Like if you inhale basil, and I would probably have her gargle with basil, it brings it back.
Okay, so right now that she's not able to smell like the essential oils, like even if you're still doing the inhalation, is she still getting?
Yeah.
Still,
even though it's not registering, it's still having an impact because the molecules are still getting in. And that's the issue, because, the loss of smell can happen with just basic sinus infections, but it's definitely heightened with COVID, the loss of taste and smell. And so, I was just talking with somebody earlier today where, the person has tested negative for COVID, but has been sick for about 2 months. And so, I suspect that they probably had COVID 2 months ago, but the antibodies don't stay in the body like normal conditions. And so, like when they test for COVID now, the person's testing negative, but, she has no taste or smell. And that's one of the signs. And she's still having the respiratory distress, after the fact. She's showing all the signs of COVID, but, when they take the test for COVID, it could have been just that she had it, so long ago and her body's just not recovering. And so that's one of the things that we put her on is, we're trying to treat the infections and then the basil for the smell and taste.
And you said to also clean her nostrils really well, right?
Yeah, when you're doing healing, do a lot of cleaning of the nostrils and even along the sides right here of the nose. Sometimes even the skin of the nose will get really congested, and it will actually, there's this thing called trigeminal neuralgia, which you have these nerves that come out like here, and down on your cheek. And so sometimes people have sinus issues. Sometimes it's a referred pain pattern from muscles in your neck that refer up. And then sometimes it's actually trigeminal neuralgia, which is almost like a migraine, but in your face. And it's not always all three nerves. It could be one or two of the nerves, or it can be all three. But sometimes if you detoxify the skin on the nose, it will actually take some of the pressure off the nerves, especially like right in here, right in the, like the cheekbone area and a little bit in the one above the eyebrow. It's just that like your skin is tied to lymphatic function and immune function. And when the skin is congested, the lymph is congested, and it makes the sensory nerves fire more rapidly. And so eventually what that can turn into is actually neuralgia, which is an inflamed nerve. And so sometimes you're actually trying to decongest the lymph movement of the skin and open up the skin and the pores to be able to treat trigeminal neuralgia. It's a harder thing to treat, but I've had moderate to decent, above moderate impact on that condition as far as resolving it. And so a big piece of it is decongesting the skin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And decongesting the skin with like skin support, or you're talking more like
Skin
with
support, like parsley. Yeah, if you have some charcoal and can do like a little parsley and like charcoal thing. We're playing around right now with a blend where we're mixing it with parsley and a couple other oils and seaweed, like an absolute of seaweed, and
Mhm.
seeing how it works. And it's definitely reducing like ingrown hairs and like acne, you know, like pimples and things. But we're trying to see if it will actually have an impact on like, you know, things like arthritis or something like that. And so, you know, it smells funky because it smells like seaweed, but if it can detox the face, you know, with like, I was thinking about doing it in a form of like a clay mask, you know, put several drops in and with the clay and mix it in, and then do like a clay mask to open up the skin. You could do that on other parts of the body. You know, you could do a version of that, like, you know, say you had arthritis in the knee or on the low back, you could still do that clay mask because the clay is a drawing agent, but so is charcoal. You know, they used to do like poultices with charcoal, you know, back in the day. And so that's another thing that we're playing around with is we're looking at trying to make like some soaps that have a lot of charcoal in it, and then add the oils that are appropriate. So, and then also have like a little bit of friction so that you can rub it on like in the shower and then just let it sit for, you know, a few minutes and then rinse it off. And so we're playing around with the dosages, and we have a soap maker who's making us some prototypes. And so we were just looking at the prototypes earlier today of some of the things. And so hopefully we'll have some things that make it really easy for everybody to treat different conditions. And you know, the thing with charcoal is it's really messy. And so we were thinking like the soap actually might be the way to do it and minimize the mess, because I mean the charcoal just goes everywhere.
Yeah, it does.
So it's super messy. And so you know, if it doesn't work in a hard bar of soap, we'll make it in a liquid soap. But we were thinking that the hard bar might actually be easier to contain. So
Yes. Okay, thank you so much, Greg. Thank you.
you're so welcome.
Bentonite might work too.
Yeah,
because-
bentonite is one of the things we've been playing with as well.
I react to charcoal or petroleum product or anything like that, but bentonite works easier.
Yeah, we have I think we have like six different types of clay, and bentonite is one of the things we were working with. And we're looking at actually even mixing the clays, because the clays have different properties as well. And so we're looking at trying to mix the clays to see if we can enhance their properties. So it's just like when I mix it, I don't like to just say mix and go, oh, this does this. I like to have some clinical trials. So I have a lot of guinea pigs around me right now. When we get it a little bit more refined, I'm going to probably start sticking some in packages. When you guys order things, we're going to stick in samples for you guys to play with and just see if it produces a result when we're doing treatments. So we're going to use you guys as guinea pigs too.
Zakia?
Hey, Zakia.
Did you mean to be unmuted or no?
Hey, Zakia. No,
Okay, how much time do you want to spend?
no,
have
I
a few
can answer
questions.
some more questions.
Okay.
I
Go
think
ahead.
it's good to have some Q&A time. I mean, it's good to do protocols. We'll still do a protocol, but some of these questions, it's good to cover the things that you guys are dealing with, because I think we all learn from these different situations, and we're usually dealing with very common problems. So, you know, even if you're not dealing with it now, it's still good to hear it so that if it comes up, you have something to do when it does come up.
I'll get to you guys really quick. I'm going to go through some of the old time questions here. How would we use the Moroccan time?
Okay, so good time. Moroccan thyme is best used a couple of drops in water. Like it really needs to be taken internally. If you use it topically, it will have an effect, or if you inhale it, it will have an effect. It's just slower. Your second best, if you don't want to take it internally, your second best choice is to do lots of long, slow, deep breathing, just breathing it in. Don't even worry about a pattern. Just try to get it in. But usually when I was treating people, I would give them a couple of drops a day. I usually had them take it in the morning. It's not overstimulating, like it's not going to keep you awake or anything like that. It just makes the body feel better, but it does increase energy levels a little bit. So why not do it at the beginning of the day? It just helps jumpstart the system. So.
Now, is Tylenol safe/gentle as well?
Tylenol is really gentle, but if there's an autoimmune issue, I still fall back to Moroccan thyme. Tylenol is very, very gentle though. Tylenol is the thyme that I actually use even for children. It is very soft and gentle. I've even used Tylenol on infants. One of the things that I treated with Tylenol was jaundice. Sometimes the baby is born and the liver's not functioning properly. I rotated between Roman chamomile and Tylenol, and without any other treatment, we were able to make the jaundice go away multiple times. And so Tylenol is very, very soft and gentle. You could take it long periods of time. Another one that's really soft and gentle is Thyme Citral. That one's a bit of an expensive thyme. Some of the other thymes that I don't make available on the site, but I'm going to start doing it just because of so many immunity issues. There are some other forms of thyme. They're expensive, kind of like Thyme Citral. And so I've not always put them out because I just try to keep everything as practical as possible for the students. And so with everything going on, I want to kind of open up the toolbox for you guys to utilize some other things. And so thyme is a really great, if there was ever a magic bullet for immune issues, different forms of thyme are it. I mean, they really are. When my body's feeling run down from like travel and things, I just don't bounce back like I did, 10 years ago or whatever. It's just age, but time will help perk me up and not throw my sleep off.
Now, when you're talking about an ointment, is it just pretty much always a good rule of thumb, just to ask, for the 20 to 25 drops per essential oil per carrier oil?
Yeah, so an ointment is 20 to 25 drops per ounce of the carrier oil. And so you can do a little bit less, but this isn't something that you're putting all over the body. An ointment is like site specific for a condition. And so you're wanting to have a therapeutic dosage for that area. The carrier oil can be very important because it holds some of the essential oil in that area for longer periods of time. When you mix the carrier oil and the essential oil, part of what happens is the carrier oil doesn't penetrate the skin quite the same. And so it lingers on the skin for a while, and that oil that's the essential oil is a volatile oil. So at some point it starts to separate and go through the pores of the skin. So it's like you're kind of putting an IV bag on an area when you're wanting it to treat a particular area for a long period of time. So an ointment is a really good way to treat something for a long period of time.
Now go ahead, Cindy, and then Tracy.
Hey, Cindy.
Hi. I was just wondering what kind of seaweed you were using for the mixtures you were making, and
Yeah.
what did you use for the granules for the soap?
The seaweed it's a seaweed absolute. So I would have to look to see what type of seaweed it is, but I'll look at it and see, and I'll email it to you.
So you made an oil out of it?
There's actually a seaweed absolute. So it's not distilled like an essential oil. Like an absolute is when they use kind of like some sort of substance to extract something out, and then they basically cook off that substance. And so so it's usually like sometimes things like jasmine is actually like technically an absolute. And so they're usually a little bit of a heavier note. And a lot of times they're not always liquid. You have to heat them up and add like a little bit of like perfumer's alcohol or jojoba to make them a little bit more liquid. Not very much, but like a little bit. And
Yeah.
so like a different version of that is not necessarily an absolute, but it's in the same vein, is like when things are CO2 extractions. You know, that's not a true steam distillation. They're using 1 part carbon, 2 parts oxygen to break down the physical material. And then what's left over is like a more potent form of that plant. And then you can use it as an extract of sorts. And even with the CO2, like we get a few things that are in CO2s, and again, they're not always liquid. Sometimes they're quite solid. Like I have a CO2 of feverfew, and it's solid as a rock. And even when I add perfumer's alcohol to it, and I think, oh yeah, this should liquefy it, it's still hard as a rock. Like it is just like I have to keep liquefying it and adding more perfumer's alcohol. So
But it doesn't respond to heat?
No, the heat liquefies it, but then as soon
Yeah.
as it cools down, it just hardens right back up again.
And this is a low heat, just
Yeah,
so we're
super
clear.
low heat. It's
Like hours on a low heat.
yeah, usually when
Wow.
I heat something up, I have a special thing for oils that I'm able to control the temperature. So sometimes I'll only heat it up like 125 degrees or so, because I don't want to cook off the plant. And if it's
Right.
really tough, I might raise it up to 150. And then 150, it just starts to make it hot enough to where it starts to liquefy, and then I'll add the alcohol in to make it liquid. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah. But I think, did we send her the
I
things
did.
for? Okay. So let me know how that stuff goes for the cellulitis, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I just kind of gave you some base information. You can blend things however you see fit, or you want to use single oils, but I'll find out what the absolute was made from. But we're starting to play with different seaweeds. I'm kind of been inspired by you to look at seaweeds a little bit stronger.
Well, I'm doing the same thing. I've got some different seaweeds too. So I was just curious, compare notes or something.
Okay,
down the
yeah, I would
road.
love that. Yeah, I would love that.
Okay, thank you.
Tracy?
Hi. So today I had to go to a body shop, and when I walked in, they were using something very, very toxic smelling paint, whatever. Immediately got a really bad headache. And I was thinking, now, would adding essential oils be good for that or not good for that? So it was just a
You're a
question.
body shop, like the store of the body shop, or like a paint and body shop?
Like a paint and body shop, like a
Yeah. You could probably use something that would just detoxify you kind of quickly, especially the liver. So you could use something like Greenland moss. You could probably use something like St. John's wort. Carrot might even do it. Helichrysum might do it. But a really good detoxifier for the liver and somewhat for the kidneys is Greenland moss. And if it's a kidney related issue, a good detoxifier is lovage. And so St. John's worts are just a good blood purifier. So you could try that. Actually, you know what else is kind of a decent blood purifier? Echinacea from the health food store is a blood purifier, but broccoli sprouts, like if you even just went to the, like the health food store or, the grocery store and got broccoli sprouts. I mean, they have to be broccoli sprouts though. And just eat a bunch of the broccoli sprouts, it would probably make that headache go away, if it's a sensitivity.
Okay. And you said Greenland moss for liver.
Liver and a little bit of kidney, and then lovage for kidney. Definitely, for sure.
And then St. John's wort is a
good blood purifier.
overall.
It's
Okay.
really super good. I mean, it just drains things out of your blood. If there's a bunch of inflammatory material, or if it's like leftover from being sick, this could fall into like an exposure with hypersensitivities. Is also German chamomile. Even Roman chamomile is a liver stimulant, and so sometimes that will actually even help as well. Excuse me, but I usually go with Greenland moss, St. John's wort. It's probably a liver related issue.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll be ordering some Greenland moss then, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, Greenland moss is one of the best things for the liver.
Now-
in the essential oil world.
You take that internally or?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's best to take it internal. I
what
mean, you
about
can
the
do
other-
topical and you can do inhalation, but honestly, it's the thing that I use the most on post chemotherapy and post radiation when people are going through cancer treatments. Is, man, I give them pretty substantial dosages of Greenland moss for a little while.
Okay,
Yeah.
so St. John's wort internally as well? And
Yeah.
there's German chamomile as well? Okay.
Yeah. German
Thank you.
chamomile is very good for cleaning up inflammatory kind of material and metabolic waste and things like that. That's a little bit more like when you've been sick, but like exposures, that can get to be kind of serious. Like when I was young, I was constantly exposed to a cleaning chemical for about a year and a half or so. And we had no ventilation when we were using it. And it actually turned into a tumor, like in the back of my mouth. I had to have surgically removed. And the best thing they could figure out, it was such a bizarre tumor that it was from the chemical exposures. And so, a single exposure, depending on what it is probably not too bad, but the people working in that environment, that starts to be more of an issue. But they usually have, ventilators and things because of OSHA. Or is OSHA California or everywhere? I think it's
Everywhere.
It's everywhere, right? Yeah. So, they're usually pretty good about regulating it. This was in the restaurant industry. I was a high school kid, so they used to make us crawl in these ovens and spray oven cleaner. And the ovens were
Whoa.
7 feet deep, and so we had to completely crawl in and spray. And so,
Ugh. Thank you.
Pretty weird.
Yeah, this is a open the door, walk in. Oh, nope. Back out the door.
Yeah.
So Thank you so much.
I mean, even allergies are a form of hypersensitivity. So, there's about 4 or 5 different kinds of hypersensitivities, and so, you usually try to detoxify the person first.
Thank you, Greg.
You're so welcome.
Just 2 quick questions, I think. Could we share the seaweed info, please? I don't.
Sure, but I'm not sure what we're sharing. I'm glad to share what it is, but what's the seaweed info? Whoever that is, go ahead and.
What you were speaking about with Lucinda. I think he's just experimenting.
We're in the middle of experimenting with different seaweeds. Yeah. I mean, seaweeds are always good for helping to strengthen the skin and strengthen lymphatic movement. They're good for arthritic conditions, or like when the body gets achy. It's like in the Western European tradition, or even in the US, one of the things that people would do when they would have arthritis on, different parts of their body is they would take juniper baths. And seaweed is like a version of that. Like seaweed is like the Irish version of that. Like it's a Irish thing that, like, if you have arthritis, you get a bunch of seaweed and put it in a bath and soak in it for a while, and it takes the arthritis pain away because it jump starts the lymphatic system. And so we're looking at different ways of playing with the seaweed to help strengthen the immune system, and then also help your body deal with inflammation, especially when it comes to degeneration in joints.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the internal organs too, to be honest.
Yeah, because I was asking because as an herbalist. Hi, how are you?
Hey, Sakia.
Because I use Irish moss regularly when I make it into a drink with hawthorn and hibiscus. And
Oh.
so I was wondering, when she spoke a couple of classes ago about her use of Irish moss, it sort of piqued my interest in what other ways I could use it.
Yeah, we just bought a whole bunch of different kinds of seaweeds to start playing with.
I actually have some red Irish moss that's shipped to me that's dried, that I have to rehydrate when I use it. Could
Huh.
I simply just powder that dry and maybe apply it?
Yeah, like I think maybe Cindy can come on and say, I think she's adding it to some water and like almost making it a gel.
Uh-huh.
So if you put 4 cups of water to 1 cup of the moss, it'll make a pretty thick gel, so you can water it down more. That's what I do, is I just make a gel, and then I add the essential oils, and it does not smell like seaweed. It does in the very beginning when you're rinsing it and then first starting, but it's really got a wonderful smell depending on what oils you put in it.
And you apply it topically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I the 2 that I'm primarily focusing on are one for the joints, and one for the skin, face, like.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Lemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's a great idea.
Sounds like
Those
we
are
can
two
mix
good-
that with the clay and the bentonite.
Yeah,
When you mentioned inflammation around that trigeminal neuralgia thing.
yeah. One thing I have used to clean up the nose a little bit has been goldenrod, but it doesn't work every time. You put it in with, some sort of carrier. Sometimes I'll use glycerin or a little bit of like the tamanu oil, but seaweed would probably be a better choice.
Right. Thank you.
You could ingest it depending on what oils you have in it, though, as well.
Yeah.
True.
It's good for the digestive tract as well.
But would it hit the joints if you ingested it? The sea moss we were talking about?
My experience with seaweeds is I haven't played with them tons, so you might need to ask Cindy about that. But good for the digestive tract, and they're good detoxifiers. And anytime you detoxify the body, it usually functions better. And the thing that I like about things like seaweed for detoxifying is it doesn't throw the body in crisis. It's not like a wild detox. It just helps you to eliminate better. It's really good for elimination.
Right.
And so I've always found it to be very stable when you use it. And so, but I haven't used it extensively. So I would say I'd have to fall back and let Cindy answer that question.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Cindy, do you want to say anything more about the seaweed?
Well, I just encourage people to try it and come up with your own. And, the more people working on it, the more we'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because doesn't Irish moss even act as like a stool softener? And
It does. It's got so many properties that I honestly can't remember them all.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just usually use it for the mineral,
Yeah.
addition to the body.
Nice.
But maybe sometime we could just have a seaweed powwow of the different kinds.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
It's also good in sushi, right?
right.
Dorothy, did you have a question?
Oh,
Dor-
yes. Hey, just a quick question about the joint relief. Have you changed the formula to joint relief? In other words, the most recent that I got from you, but it was an ointment you mixed up for me, smells smoky. So I wonder if it had some Cade in it or something like that. Oh, I've lost. I can't hear you. Let's see. I've lost sound. I'm sorry. I'll just have to email Plant Prana. Oh, somebody else said your sound is off.
I have no idea how that happened. My apologies.
Okay, could you start?
So can you hear me? So that's the secret to life.
So I missed. Yeah.
So yeah, it's had Cade in it for quite a while.
Oh.
Like for a few years actually.
Okay. I have some of the old, just plain.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll email. I wanted
Yeah.
to make. I wanted to put something on the neck, but due to that smoky smell, I smell it all night and in the morning. I didn't
Yeah.
want to put it on the neck, so I was wondering about when you were talking about for the thumbs, a little arthritis in the thumbs, and
Mhm.
I didn't catch everything you said. It was some rosemary and some cedar and some
No,
things.
that's just for the joint. Like for the thumbs, it's usually calcium deposits, and so you use the Arthric Care, which is like eucalyptus citrodora and ironbark eucalyptus, and
Okay.
I think there's some juniper and lovage in there. And
Okay, so what were you mixing then with the rosemary and the cedar for the thumbs or for something else?
that's the joint relief. Yeah.
The
that's
rosemary and the cedar, that's in the joint relief.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So if I didn't want to use oil on my neck, I wanted to put something on the neck that would get the blood in and out, like you were talking about.
Yeah,
So
you use those versions. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Chris Wetzel?
Hey, Chris.
Is my microphone working?
Yep, we can hear you good.
Okay. I was wondering if there is an oil that would help with scar tissue, the growth and the spread of it.
Helichrysum is by far the best thing you could use.
Okay. Okay, because it's been causing some chaos in the spinal column and been...
Okay, so is it topical scarring or is it like a deeper scar?
It's from a surgery, from a spinal surgery, a laminectomy. And the scar tissue spreading is actually causing damage to the rest of the body.
Okay, so this is what I would do for that is if you can, like you could put the helichrysum on neat, or you could put it in an ointment, or you could actually even do it like a compress, like several drops in some warm water and then keep dipping it in and then putting it on the area. The warm water helps open up the pores to allow it to go deeper. Then on the flip side of that, take like 2 to maybe 4 or 5 drops a day of black cumin. And black cumin will help to unwind the scar tissue that you're not able to get to with the topical application, right? Because like you said, sometimes those fascial lesions start to go in a lot of places. And then you can augment that even with taking a relatively big dosage of MSM from the health food store. You know, it's a type of sulfur, and it's usually in like the section with like arthritis or something. So you can get it in a powder, you get it in capsules, you can get it whatever, but MSM also helps to break up scar tissue, and it helps to detoxify the joints. And so that will help. And then I would augment that with probably either putting something like black pepper or marjoram. Marjoram would probably be my first choice of putting things on that area, just because it will help to reduce some of the muscle spasms and tension in and around the joint. But black pepper will also help blood get to the area, because when you're dealing with the scar tissue, it's really a lesion in the fascia. So it's like a muscular knot, but not in a muscle, it's in the fascia. And so if you can hydrate that and get more blood going to an area, that can be helpful. And so I was even doing a thing where I was mixing, in fact, I think we made it into a product, the free radical. Did we put that on the site or no? Yeah, I think we did. And so it's basically helichrysum, rosemary, verbenin with some lemon. And so that could be used topically, or that could be used internally. And that helps reduce the precursors to inflammation, but it also would help to break up some of the internal scar tissue. And so, you know, when you've had like surgery like that, the scar tissue sometimes, like you said, is causing a problem, and the structure has changed, but sometimes the thing that was causing the pain prior to surgery wasn't the bone, it was in the soft tissue. So sometimes even post-surgery, you're still having the effects of that structural issue that got fixed, but the soft tissue component didn't get fixed, just the structural part. And so all of this should also help unwind some of the condition from prior to the surgery, and then also anything that's post-surgical. And keep us posted on that, because if you're not getting relief with, I mean, the helichrysum, the black cumin, and some MSM internally, if that's not bringing you relief, then we need to augment that somehow. I have a bunch of notes on stuff like that, and we can just go through and help you troubleshoot that without you having to take stabs in the dark.
All right, thank you very much.
Some of it will be things you might have to get from the health food store, and some of it might be just things that you already have, you know, in your toolkit there.
All right. Yeah, I think I have most of it.
Yeah, yeah. But black cumin, I mean, start taking black cumin pretty regular. Like it will help you quite a bit. You know, we had one person who had multiple stomach surgeries, and the topical applications just weren't getting it. And so we did the black cumin and the MSM, and we unwound quite a bit of the scar tissue in the gut. And so, you know, the black cumin will work on a lot of levels. You know, its nature is to reduce the inflammatory material before it becomes inflammation, and it does break down the scar tissue, you know, the fascial lesions. And so it should be quite helpful for you.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. Keep us posted on that, okay, Chris?
I will definitely do that.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a couple more questions, but it is a
Yeah,
little after
a couple
7.
more, and then we'll jump into a protocol.
How would you use lovage for mucus congestion, gargling?
For congestion, you can probably inhale it, but most times with lovage, I tend to take it internally. You know, the thing that's really interesting about lovage is that when you start taking it internally, it not just helps to detoxify and help you release fluid in the body, it actually helps stimulate the kidneys to function better. And so part of what happens when the body is producing mucus is the body, the kidneys aren't eliminating enough fluid that, it kind of stays a little bit stagnant in the body and then eventually starts to turn to mucus. And so, it's always good to augment it with something else, something to treat the acute condition right off the bat. But lovage is a little bit more of a long-term treatment for mucus. Like if you're just really prone to mucus all the time, you could start taking some lovage on a regular basis, like 2 or 3 drops in water taken internally. I would do it in the morning. It doesn't really matter, but I do it in the morning because eventually what happens is it does start making you pee more, and you'll notice that you have much greater volume and that you pee a little bit more often. And so that's good because your body is starting to eliminate some of the fluids that have accumulated in the body. And so, undoing those accumulations is very helpful.
What is the dose for chemo liver detox?
Usually I start them at 2 to 3 drops of Greenland moss in water a day. And eventually I work them up to about 6 to 8 drops. After about 3 or 4 weeks, I then put them on black cumin, or there's a thing on the site called black seed complex. And it's basically, it's a bunch of cumin with turmeric and frankincense and myrrh. And so all of that, again, reduces inflammation and helps to like clean up the body after the fact. But I start off, is it not on there? No. So we'll add it. Like it's something that I've used in therapy for a while, but like not all my therapy notes have made it onto the website. So we'll put that on there. But it start with the Greenland moss for about a good 6-8 weeks.
And whatever you want to do.
Okay, so one of the things we kind of rushed through on the weekend was doing the, at the end was the meditation on the blue pearl. I'd actually like to do that again. And so we're gonna do the meditation. And so if you have cystis, you can use cystis. And if not, any of the precious oils will work pretty good. You could use frankincense or sage. Tarragon would be okay. What else did I say? I can't remember. If you don't have one of those, let us know.
What are the precious oils?
Like lotus or ginger lily, acacia, aloes, oud, that blend Saint Germain. Poplar would work really good.
With violet flame?
Yeah, violet flame would work.
Was jasmine one of those?
Yeah, jasmine could work.
Could 4 lobes work?
Yeah, 4 lobes would work.
Could serenity work?
Serenity. Yeah, I think that would work as well.
And tuberose?
Yeah, tuberose would definitely work.
Okay.
Look at you guys with your fancy stuff. Okay, so close your eyes and begin inhaling the oil that you have. Your awareness is on your front heart. Move your awareness to your back heart. Move your awareness to your forehead, where the hairline is. Move your awareness to the back head, opposite the eyebrows on the back side. Just be still, be aware, just let go. Put your awareness back on the back head, opposite your eyebrows. your forehead, where the hairline is. The back heart. In your front heart. Just be still. Just be still. Just let go of everything. Just be still. begin and begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your front heart. Your awareness is on your back heart. Long, slow, deep breaths. And then to your forehead, where the hairline is. And then your back head. Just let go. Just let go. Your awareness on the back head again. Long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on your forehead. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on your back heart. The area between your shoulder blades. And your front heart. Just be still. Be aware. Let go of everything. Just be still. You can let go of the oils. Just be still. With your awareness between your eyebrows, begin to weave a thread going all the way to the back of your head, opposite your eyebrows on the back side. Connect the front of your head to the back of your head, the area between your eyebrows, and directly opposite on the back side. From your right ear, directly above the right ear, all the way over to the left ear. Connect one side to the other side, weaving a thread between your right ear and the top of your left ear. Gently, softly, explore the intersection between those two lines where they cross in the middle of your head. Wait for a shift in your awareness, a sense of peace, stillness. Take your time. Just be still. Hold your awareness and intention on the area where those two lines cross. I'm going to chant a mantra. Just be still. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Body. Maintain your stillness and awareness. Move your awareness and your attention 12 inches above your head. Visualize a brilliant star, a brilliant 6-pointed star, the Star of David. Gently wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, come back to your body. Move your body around. How do you feel? You can either type or you can unmute yourself.
Deep, peaceful.
Hey, oh, I'm sorry. Hey,
It's
Greg,
okay.
this is Cassandra. Words came to me. It was most interesting. Frequency modulator, source,
Yeah.
key, dashboard, like motherboard. It was pretty, yeah, pretty, like almost like a control center.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's interesting.
It's odd that it came in that way, but it makes sense once you like That's it. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely
just a
would
weird-
regulate frequencies and distribute different kinds of energies through your body, especially
Yeah.
higher energies.
I think if I were even more developed, I would start to see it just multiply from there because I think that was just a smidgen.
Yeah, and the more you do it, there's really like kind of a combo you do. We're going to start exploring that more, even in the study groups, is really activating the heart a whole bunch and then going up and doing it. It's just that sometimes it's almost a little too intense. So it's with this one, it's good to start with baby steps because sometimes the head will get so congested, they give you a little bit of a headache. And so you want to kind of get started and make sure your body can handle it. And then we'll do stronger versions of it as we keep going along.
Well, I think the thread really helps. So thank you
The
for this
thread
method.
makes it way stronger. And that is something that Erling Cheney put in the Stara books. You know, there's other ways of getting there and visualizing, but I find that that thread technique that she describes is actually really, really super strong. And so I really personally like that approach. And so, you know, usually when we talk about it, that's the approach that I usually, teach the student.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's I can't remember what degree lesson it's in. What I think it might be in the 2nd degree or 3rd degree. I'd have to ask, or I'd have to look it up. Or a lot of times I ask one of the board members to look it up for me. I'm just like too busy sometimes.
Channy?
Hey, Channy.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Sam.
Hey.
Hi. On that note on the thread, I had trouble aligning the center points where they.
Yeah, that takes a little while.
My
Yeah.
head started tilting to try to, like, you know how you want to navigate.
Yeah.
I started doing that and I noticed it. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, like the easiest, one of the easiest ways is to kind of do like your finger like here and then opposite on your back head, like, like so, and then above your ear and above your ear like this. And you can even just like let them be like that. That's one way of doing it. Another way, one of the early ways I was taught was you go to like the center of the top of your head and then just start floating down until you find that spot of peace. But it's hard to know when you hit the center of your head. And then another version I remember being taught was, you put your tongue back to where the tongue is touching where the hard palate and soft palate kind of meet, and then float your way up. And so I think the Amma, Amma, the hugging saint, she teaches a form of this where they visualize a triangle here and then go in from the triangle backwards. And so there's different versions of trying to do the same thing. But if you're having a hard time with the thread, start with it like this, like, above your ear, like here. And like you kind of do that and then like that. And it's a really soft exploration. Like if you start trying to get too mental about it, you almost kind of shift out of the state that will find it. So you almost have to go, okay, I'm just looking. I don't care if I find it. And then all of a sudden you'll start to notice your mind like almost like shifts frequency or shifts the stream that's going through your head. Like your mind just like, well, just boom. As soon as you have that, you just kind of hold it there. And then once you're there, it keeps going into deeper and deeper states. So at first you're just trying to experience it for a while, but eventually that will begin to like open up, so to speak. And when it starts to open up, you start to have really strong experiences. Like where you lose time and you lose. One time I was doing a meditation. I was actually in Birmingham for Tracy and Dorothy were on. They probably remember this. As I got up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, And I started doing this meditation. I was like, I have plenty of time. And I think I came out of meditation. Usually I would set an alarm, but it was so early, I didn't think I needed to. And I think I was in that state for about 4.5 hours. And the only reason I came out of it was my body started shaking. And when I came into the class, like I still was not out of that state. And I had a real hard time with the light. So I had to have the lights off and the windows closed. And I was like, okay, we're gonna meditate for a while. And we couldn't even really do the class until I kind of came back into my body again. Like it got really out there. And so, it didn't feel like very long in the meditation, but I had lost a lot of time when I was in that state. And so when that starts to happen, it's good to set yourself like an alarm, like I'm only going to meditate for an hour or an hour and a half, or whatever it is. Here we're just doing 10 or 15 minutes at a time once we really start to hit it. But sometimes when you start hitting those deeper states, you can stay in there for a lot longer.
That's great.
It takes a while to like explore that area though. Like it almost feels like you'll be like exploring it, and almost feels like you drop into something. Like, like a ball would drop into on a pool table would drop into a hole. It's almost like you feel like you drop into something, and you'll just notice like a shift. All of a sudden your mind just goes quiet.
Yeah, it feels like the Cirque du Soleil of balancing act for meditation to me. Like I'm trying to go on this wire. That's how it feels.
It takes a little bit, but once you like kind of find it, because you can find it two ways. It's because it's a weird thing. You're trying to use your focus to get there, but as soon as you find it, you have to let go of the focus, because that's also going to be your stumbling block. Right? So like you use your focus and then you can kind of let go, or sometimes, that's why I even follow it up with like Om Mani Padme Hum or Soham or I Am, something like that, because when you can't find it through that exploration like that, sometimes chanting the mantra allows you to start experiencing the state, and you're in the state even though you didn't find that spot where it crosses. Your energy body just starts to kind of go there naturally. And so either way, it works. It's you're looking for that shift in consciousness. And so if you're doing it the way we're doing it, at some point you really have to let go of the focus once you're there. You have to be in there and experiencing it. But if that just doesn't work, just keep doing the experience, and eventually you'll hit that state, and that state is because you're there. So one way or another, you can get there multiple different ways.
Thank you so much for this, Greg.
Yeah. Things like lotus and poplar balsam and aloes wood put you in that state. Ginger lily does too. Like just inhaling it starts to put you in that state of that center of your head. And so that's why they're so good for so many things. Cistis it takes a little bit longer. Cistis can do it as well, but
I use Violet Flame this time.
Yeah, Violet Flame can help you get there too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of oils will help you to get into that state.
Is there one particular precious oil that you use when you practice this?
I tend to use aloes wood a lot. Aloes and poplar's kind of been my new favorite. I use tuberose a lot too. Like those are probably I always have that thing about, okay, if I only had 5 oils, because there's no way I could just say if I had one oil, if I had my 5 like just precious oils. We were having a discussion here, amongst the staff and everything. And I was like, tuberose, aloes, poplar, and I'm still grinding on the last 2. Like nobody really cares, but like I'm like sitting there like, would it be this? Would it be that? Those 3 would definitely make the top 3. Yeah. I'm still kind of lean. Ginger lily might make the list. And oh, lotus would be the other one. Lotus would be in the top 5.
Awesome.
Oh, and this one too.
Yeah.
And this one too.
Yeah.
It's a long.
That's my
five.
problem too. I have
Yeah.
so many of them that can't do 5.
It's hard.
Letty, your hand's raised. It just, we only have like 5 minutes left, so.
What about devotion, Greg?
Yeah, devotion is that activates the heart quite a bit. And then anytime the heart gets activated, that starts to activate the upper, the crown, and then eventually the blue pearl. And so that can do it as well. Yeah.
Okay. Because
it does it more from the heart and then up, which eventually that's what we'll be doing. And so I did a trial run with a small group where we did a bunch of work on the heart, and then we went up to the crown, and it's pretty intense. It's pretty darn intense. And so, I think a lot of people are ready for it, but I still want to make sure that, like, safe's not the word. It's just I don't want to overwhelm somebody where they get like it could make them fatigued for a day or two, or it could make some emotions come up, or that's never been my experience, but I've seen it happen. So we're just trying to make sure that we modulate it enough to where it's safe enough. The plants really help. I find when I do this meditation with plants, it's easier and deeper and stronger than if I just do the meditation by itself.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's because you gave me the oil, and I knew it was a precious oil because of the label, but we actually never really talked about it, like, because you don't really have it in like, I don't know, it's not in too many things, devotion.
Yeah, there's several things that are not on the list on the website that are just like, personal things that I use, or I made it once or twice, and I haven't made it very often. And so we're talking about like maybe popping some of those up, and then we can't leave them up all the time because they're usually hard to make or hard to get oils for. And so, there's different oils that are like that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Really quick, I just thought you might like to address this. I first learned of the blue pearl thread from Orthotic Yoga. Did Master Choa and the Cheneys come up with it independently?
That practice has been taught in a bunch of different traditions, but Master Choa actually studied Astara for starting in the early 70s, like 71 or 72, I think. And so a lot of things in the Arhatic practice and in pranic healing were drawn upon from the writings of the Cheneys. And so, when I was with Master back in the 2000s, I actually met Robert Cheney in 2001 at a big conference with pranic healing. And the Astara writings, all the degree lessons were strongly suggested as like reading material for your Arhatic practice. We used to have a reading list that was suggested. And so it was a bunch of things from the Theosophical Society, like Annie Besant and Ledbetter and Alice Bailey, things like that. The books by Powell on the astral body, mental body, causal body, etheric double. And then the very first thing was the Astara degree lessons. And so, different terminology a little bit. Like Master Choa does the thing with the fingers, and the Cheneys do the thing with the thread. And Master would say, explore for the mental permanent seed or the blue pearl. And the Cheneys refer to it as the inner nod or the inner sound. And so like when the first person said frequency or frequency modulator, that would be associated with sound. And so, you know, it's just different versions of the same thing. Yeah, so.
You took me up when you talk about that. Thank you very much. It just wells up inside me at the memories and Grandmaster being an 8th degree. And thank you for sharing that. It took me up. This was a great evening. I loved it. Thank you very much.
So that was Reverend Peggy, and she got to take classes with Master Choa at Astara, right, Peggy?
Yes, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And now I have to go look up, where was that string thing? I learned it all those years ago. I have to
I
look it
can't
up
remember.
now
I
that
want
you
to
brought it.
say,
It's in the index in the Astara site.
Yeah.
I will.
It's in the, I think it's in the 2nd or 3rd degree. I say that and it's probably like the 4th degree or something, you know.
No, it's probably the 2nd.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, thanks for everything. Love you guys. And we are on for next week. And hopefully you can join us tomorrow. We're going to do a little bit of meditation / ceremony tomorrow. And then if you guys are interested, you know, we're doing our class this weekend, and you can always review and do that when you've had the class. And with Astara, we're doing our first session with Reverend Tammy is going to be leading a Sunday service or a Sunday session kind of. And so that's on the website. So if you want to join that on Sunday, you can't join us, maybe you can join that and partake in that. So we have lots of good things that are coming down for you guys to continue studying, even when it's not with me. We're trying to give you as many things as possible. So, yeah.
Right.
So, okay, you guys, love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Take care.
Thank you.